Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining this call about hybrid cloud and multi-cloud with Oracle Private Cloud Appliance and Exadata. I will probably wait a small minute, few seconds, so everybody could join, and then we will start. Europe, Middle East, Africa specialist for private cloud solutions and hybrid cloud solutions at Oracle. Today will be a session about the relationship between data and application and how to drive your business for the next-gen application. You heard about digital transformation, you heard about things like containers, Kubernetes. I like this comic strip, right? Basically, no, it's not easy to make this mind shift, moving from traditional or legacy infrastructure to something more services-oriented. But that's the point of this webcast, to try to understand how you can do that, how you can be prepared for the future, what's happening on the market, what already started a few years ago, and how critical it is to modernize your business. Data is the new oil. I love the sentence. First of all, because it's kind of funny to state that. Second of all, because I believe it's very true. The value of data has increased dramatically for the last years. Everybody's looking for data, gathering your data, looking for merging, analyzing all this data. But the comparison with oil is kind of very, very interesting. Basically, and I would like to enlighten this, as an end user myself, if you're giving me an oil barrel, I don't know what to do about that. Would be great, that's a valuable asset, but as an end user, I don't know. What can I do? Basically, if I'm going to work, if I'm going to visit some friends, family, errands, traveling, I'm using a car, and definitely a car is using data, oil, right? A source of energy. In this current situation, global pandemic, we saw a lot of booming business around freight, right? Basically, that's a nice picture of a plane from my country, Luxembourg. Freight is using oil, right? And so cars, freight, travel industry is using a lot of oil, right? So we have this relationship between all kinds of industries and oil. And we can talk about oil as a provider for some kind of applications such as cars, freight, travel. And I could talk about multiple usage of oil, right? So textile industry also. And the relationship between this consumer and the provider, meaning the oil and the application that you are every single day using, okay, is very tight. And if I'm making this comparison, basically, pretty much the same thing for data. We're talking about data, organized data, non-organized data, and database, relational databases. Let's say I'm giving you a database or a bunch of data. What can you do with that? Basically, that's a valuable asset. And even if you would like to only make some kind of reporting or analytics, you need a piece of software, right? An application, and this application will be the consumer of this data. And again, here we can see that the relationship between the application and the data is very tight. You can have the best data ever. If you don't have the right application, that's not right. Same thing, you can have the best application ever for your business, but if you have the wrong data, that's good neither. Right. So I wanted to emphasize on this relationship between data and applications. definitely. You can have in-house application for your business, in-house developed application. You can have ERP, HCM, SAP. SAP is a good example, for instance, right? They used to consume the best data ever from our Oracle database and kind of struggling with wrong database now with HANA. That's a relationship, and that's a very tight relationship. You can't consider data without application. But now if we take this comparison further, right, and we look at what happened to oil. Oil, powerful energy for car, freight, travel industry, textile, and way more, right? But what happened is that 20 years ago, there was this kind of big shift, and we were going into hybrid for the car industry, for instance, right? And Toyota initiated that, for instance, bringing this kind of electricity power on top of oil to bring two different kind of energies for multiple reasons. For traffic jams, for big cities, it was the best way, most efficient way to run your car using the combination of electricity and oil, right? And we got new applications for that, right? We got Wi-Fi in cars. We have some sensors, multiple sensors. We have machine learning, artificial intelligence into the car now. And we have different ways to use the car, right? It's fully petrol-based or kind of a mixed hybrid from electricity. You can charge it. And all the car manufacturers went into that, picking up their own solution. So obviously we know Tesla, right? Tesla is going for full electric. But if you're looking at what Toyota brought 20 years ago, right now on the market, every single car manufacturer is bringing an hybrid model. All of them, BMW, Volkswagen, PSA, and even the sport around car, right? So if we are looking for Formula One, for instance, Formula One always has been kind of petrol-based. Now Formula One is hybrid too. So you have oil, petrol, and a battery too, right? And we have even new championship based only on electricity. So that's big shift that happened 20 years ago with some kind of boldness from one manufacturer who took the risk to go for it. And now it's a trend, definitely. I'm bringing this analogy to data, right? So data is a new oil, okay. Now we have data, all kind of data, converged into one database, right? We have SQL-based data, NoSQL-based data, data lakes for big data, JSON APIs, flat files, all this combined and converged in order to bring some new kind of applications. And we are hearing a lot about, the 5G is coming, but a few years ago, we already got this kind of, artificial intelligence is there, machine learning, chatbots, blockchain for supply chain manufacture. And all these kind of new applications are looking for the most powerful way to provide data to this new kind of application. Right? So again, right, we have this very tight relationship between data and application, and a big shift to hybrid, meaning you need to bring all kind of data, not only SQL-based data, to this new kind of application. And I hope that's something that fits your strategy. If you're looking at this, right, we're talking about digital transformation for years now. And all these kind of new applications, those chatbots, I went online on a web shopping website, and basically I got a chatbot asking me, can I help you? What do you want to know? So the customer experience, it's booming, right? We used to get access to our banking web page on internet. Now that's an application on your mobile phone, right? So the business needs this kind of customer experience changing with modern application apps on different kind of support, such as phones, tablets, or And we saw the analogy with a car, when you can have internet into the car too, right? So the business needs this kind of digital transformation. And all these business needs are bringing the CIO priorities to change a little bit. They have to be very fast on the market, right? To answer very quickly the customer requests and to address the competitors' boldness. They have to take care about data sovereignty and compliance. So sometimes you have to go on-premise, sometimes you have to go public cloud, or you can merge that. Anyways, the point is that all the CIO priorities are focusing on multi-cloud. Multi-cloud meaning that you need new application being able to adapt to different kind of clouds. Cloud is kind of fuzzy word, right? Because you have private cloud, you have public cloud, and you have hybrid cloud. So the mix of two, or the mix of multiple public cloud vendors, and that would be multi-cloud, right? And of course, on top of that, you need to be secure and very agile, and to scale in, scale out, scale up, scale down. Okay. Let's look a little bit at what happened. Because when I'm bringing this kind of new shift on the car industry, right, and the hybrid model, on data and application, we got this shift already 20 years ago, okay? 25 years ago, you were developing application, and it was kind of a monolithic application, and basically we got one physical server running one application. And you got different size of physical servers into the data center because the infrastructure was data center, right? And 20 years ago, we got mind shift, saying that, oh, wait a minute, the application, let's be agile and go for N-tier, so 2-tier or 3-tier applications, so database part, so application part, and the web part, right, the web tier. Everything consolidated into virtual servers because we wanted to use compute, memory, and storage in an efficient way, not to waste what we got with one application running on physical server. And I remember it was 18 years ago. VMware came, Hyper-V came, Xen-based hypervisor came, and basically that was the new thing, right? Transforming your business from monolithic architecture to NT application going for virtualization. And that has been a big wording, right? Virtualization for kind of 15 years. And we changed a little bit also the infrastructure, the underlying infrastructure from data center. It was kind of a mix between hosted to another data center or running into your data center, or maybe kind of a hybrid in this way too. But for the past 10 years, we're looking for an amazing mind shift, developing the application more in microservices, right, with DevOps process development, going from containers, deploying containers instead of talking about virtualization. And the underlying infrastructure is not anymore hosted data center or data centers owned by the customer. It's definitely the cloud. And we are talking about cloud, private cloud, into your own data center or hosted or into the public cloud. But that's a big mind shift, right? And as 18 years ago, when your business needed to get something more efficient, going for virtualization, right? We got early adopters. So these early adopters here into this slide is about 71% of the Fortune 100 are using containers already, microservices. They made this shift. And 73% of these guys, right, are running containers in production already. So it's not something that will happen in the next 5 years. That's something that's already happening. And that's very interesting because if you're looking at this data, and basically these data are coming from 2018, right? So it was 2 years ago already. So year-to-year growth about the adoption of cloud-native microservices, cloud-native technology. This growth is 10 times the growth of what you can expect or hear about Amazon offering growth year-to-year, or Oracle year-to-year growth, or Azure growth year-to-year. That's 10 times this number. So, as I said, like 18 years ago, everybody was considering maybe to go for virtualization, and then they went all of them into virtualization. Now we are talking about open, without any local technology, cloud-native technologies, and it's happening right now. So how to navigate through this cloud-native landscape, okay? As I said before, right, the most important part is that the developers and the IT need a DevOps infrastructure blueprint, something clear, right? Complete infrastructure, integrated, not some just fragment tools and technology owned by some companies. No, we have something providing to the DevOps very open, based on open technology that can evolve all together to be sure that the customer will be not locked into technologies, right? So if we compare this kind of big move from virtualization to microservices, what can we see here? A virtual machine, and you all know about virtual machines. A virtual machine is about an infrastructure, an operating system, an hypervisor on top, VMware, Oracle VM, then Hyper-V, and so on. But basically, every single virtual machine running on top of that includes the application, so binaries, libraries, right, and the operating system for the virtual machine. So every single VM, right, has its own patching, monitoring, nurturing. While containers has a different structure, right? You have still the infrastructure, the operating system, and then you have the Docker engine, right? And the container is about the application, the binary library tied together, dependencies of the application, but it shares the kernel with all the containers. So basically, right, there is no relationship between the containers and the infrastructure or the hypervisors. There is no hypervisor anymore, by the way, right? So hypervisors are becoming irrelevant. Let's be very clear, right? But that's your current business, right? So Oracle is providing a kind of statement of direction, right? We are using for years now Oracle Linux, right, for our cloud. Our full OCI Oracle Cloud infrastructure is based on Linux. Why? Because basically it's easy, quick onboarding to cloud with the same stacks that you're using on-premise into your data center, right? But Oracle Linux is also providing virtualization and containers, and that's something interesting. That's the hybrid part of it, right? You can still run virtualization, but you have all the technology tools to bring containers into it, right? In the direction of Linux, it's about security, and we have some unique features. I will not spend so much time on it, but K-Splice is a way that we are patching and upgrading all our cloud in one click. We are very secure. We're compliant to the security enhancement Linux process, and our kernel is basically supporting all our workloads, Oracle workloads, and all our Oracle Engine System. And I will talk about Oracle Engine System in a minute. So we have all the tools into Oracle Linux, right? And we are providing into Oracle Linux what we call the cloud-native environment. So something compliant to the CNCF, open source software, tested by us, verified by us, free to be deployed everywhere, not only on our Engine System or our cloud. You can deploy that anywhere, on Amazon, on Azure, on Dell servers, whatever, right? It's completely open. Enterprise class support, because all our software, and if you don't know that, I will remind it for you, right? Our SaaS offering, our software into our cloud, is based on Oracle Linux. And we are leader worldwide on software as a service. So enterprise class support, and all this environment about cloud-native tools, so Docker and Kubernetes threading plugin, it's no additional cost from the Oracle Linux support. So basically, we have an offering around Oracle Linux. It's kind of very easy to understand. You have all the benefits, all the features, K-Splice, cloud-native, Oracle Linux. While if you compare that to the competition, such as Red Hat, for instance, you have to pay for Red Hat Linux, the operating system. You have to pay for HA option. You have to pay for the Red Hat virtualization. You have to pay for OpenShift. You have to pay for management option, for self-storage, for cluster storage containers, for the cloud access. And everything here is about, sometimes it's pricing based on sockets, sometimes it's based on number of virtual machines, sometimes it's based on the way the network is used or the storage size. Or on-premise or cloud, it's not even the same price. While Oracle Linux into our cloud or on our engineer system is basically exactly the same. Right? And the savings around that, basically, we are providing into private cloud appliance the engine system where we want to run a middleware and application combined to Exadata, running databases and all kinds of databases. The savings are huge. If you're taking Red Hat example, the way it is licensed, if you would like to get HA, if you would like to get cloud access and so on, it's about $1 million per year, right? While it's fully covered by private cloud appliance, it's fully covered by our cloud also. Now we'll start with this, right? Oracle Private Cloud Appliance is an engine system from Oracle, very secure, very agile, reliable, everything is redundant for a middleware and application. And whatever middleware and application, it's not only about Oracle software, you can run any kind, right? 7 years in production, a lot of compute node in use, thousands of them, tens of thousands virtual machines for production environment, 2,500 applications secured. That's something that's not really new. We have a new platform, X8, but basically the private cloud appliance is running for multiple years already. Let's have a view.
Meu nome é Cleiton Soares, eu trabalho na Companhia Siderúrgica do PECEM, uma indústria siderúrgica que fabrica placas de aço. Anteriormente, no nosso ambiente, a gente trabalhava com uma tecnologia, numa arquitetura tradicional, com servidores, equipamentos totalmente isolados, de fornecedores diferentes. Houve esse sentimento de que a gente precisava mudar porque a gente não conseguia entregar o serviço que o negócio precisava. Com a mudança do nosso ambiente para o Oracle PCA, nós tivemos um aumento claro de produtividade e desempenho. Nós tivemos muito maior rapidez para emissão de relatórios, execução de backups e outras tarefas críticas que demoravam muito tempo, agora eu consigo executar em pelo menos 40% mais rápido. Então, com a implementação da solução, nós tivemos benefícios para toda a empresa, não só para a minha equipe de TI, mas também para os nossos clientes, nossos usuários finais. No nosso caso, os principais problemas que a Oracle conseguiu resolver com as soluções, produtos e serviços oferecidos foram totalmente voltados para a entrega do meu resultado. Eu hoje consegui, utilizando os produtos e serviços da Oracle, oferecer para a minha empresa um resultado muito melhor, uma informação mais confiável e um ambiente muito mais disponível para toda a empresa.
Yeah, basically, this customer is running critical workloads, and they got performance needed to run their business and to improve their business, right? So I think it was a great example to pitch for middleware and application running workloads and to improve your business. Now, as I said before, right, it's kind of cloud on-premises, so meaning that you can run middleware and application in different ways, and that's kind of the hybrid pitch here, right? You can run it in virtual machines, or you can run that into containers. And basically, Oracle is providing this offering about running, for instance, I don't know, Java or WebLogic into containers already for multiple years. So you can make this shift already, right? So any kind of Oracle workloads, middleware, analytics, we have now Oracle Analytics servers you can use to analyze your data, right? You can run databases, obviously, but it's all about Oracle software, workloads, and non-Oracle workloads. Everything about Windows, Microsoft application, any kind of Linux, it's ASAP certified, so you can run NetWeaver, for instance, on it. And it's PCI DSS ready, and we have a white paper around that. That's a middleware application platform, and I will talk about the data and the relationship between application and data a bit later, right? But by focusing on the application and middleware, here we have a platform very agile. Intelligence that's pre-wired, pre-built rack. You can scale up, scale out. You have one infrastructure for Linux, Windows, Solaris x86 if you would like to do that also. You can provision your application and databases, especially the Oracle ones, very, very, very fast, right? E-Business Suite, kind of 20 minutes to deploy. Try that on another platform. We have a unified management for public, private cloud, using Enterprise Manager. So we're bringing hybrid through the management layer, and one single management layer providing the ability to deploy your workloads or on private cloud or on public cloud or in hybrid model, basically to stretch your application, scaling out your application from private cloud to public cloud and vice versa. Very flexible licensing for Oracle workloads. I will not spend some time on this, but it's a very quick platform and it brings everything. So when I was saying before, this mind shift about hybrid, being sure that you can run VMs and next-gen application. Basically, we are providing all the cloud-native environment into the platform. The single cloud management layer, the disaster recovery, the operating system. We are providing the operating system. Oracle Linux is part of it. So you can deploy as many Oracle Linux you want with all the features, by the way. So the case splice, this very unique feature we have to patch our full cloud in one click. We have it also on-premise. The virtualization is included, but I will not talk about virtualization that much because anyway, it's becoming irrelevant. We have the best technology used internally, software-defined network, full network external network to be reached with 100 gig Ethernet. You can scale up storage, scale out storage. You can connect to the cloud storage, to our cloud storage to make your backup, and you have scalability on compute, right? So now, if we are looking a little bit about this hybrid mode, right? So meaning you have a private cloud appliance where you would like to run your application, your legacy application, for instance, or your current applications. Basically, you have a virtual machine because we are providing an hypervisor. So you have your application for using binary and libraries based on the guest operating system, but exactly at the same place. You are developing your next-gen application, re-architecturing your application to go for containers. So basically, you have an application 1 and the binary combined, and the application 2 and 3 running into containers with Oracle Linux as a main and host operating system. So here you have an infrastructure as code, right, with rapid application deployment, providing hypervisor for your virtualized workload, your current ones, right, and also as a platform for containers. So basically, we have customers running this platform in order to deploy using kind of infrastructure as code, such as Ansible, to deploy the current workloads, so the current middleware, for instance, and already developing their Node.js application on the same platform, right, to go for containers, right? So the cloud-native environment into private cloud appliance is bringing everything about orchestration with Kubernetes, so runtimes, different kind of, and you can check that with the CNCF. That's completely open, no lock-in here, right? That's open source tools. And the underlying infrastructure is private cloud appliance, or another model would be private cloud at customer, and I will summarize that at the end of this presentation, or Oracle Cloud, by the way, basically, because we are using exactly the same technology. It supports open standards, right, specification with APIs defined by the CNCF. Nothing is proprietary here, right? It's not owned by a company that's completely open source tools and technology. And if you're going to develop your next-gen application, right, you have to know that Oracle is already providing into the Oracle Container Registry a lot of workloads ready for containers. So our operating system, obviously, but databases such as MySQL Enterprise Edition, you can write that into a container. Java, as I said before, NoSQL database Enterprise Edition, Golden Gate, business intelligence, analytics servers, coherence, middleware, and so on and so on. And more and more and more. You will see within the next week something happening about our application portfolio, right? So you know that we have some communication software, for instance, and we are very well known on the market for this. It will happen on containers, right? So let's take this example I mentioned before about WebLogic, right? If you have WebLogic middleware already running on, I don't know, an Oracle platform that used to be named Exalogic. So this WebLogic, you can definitely modernize it, taking it from your existing infrastructure by discovering its domain, right? Customizing it and updating it in order to make it run as WebLogic into a container, into a private cloud appliance platform, right? And we have a white paper, right? Oracle WebLogic servers on PCA and Kubernetes in containers, how to modernize the way you're running WebLogic. And that was an example only, right? Because basically, BI for your reporting and analytics, you can run it into container. And we have a white paper for that. Oracle Analytics Servers, go on Oracle website, you will see that too, right? Oracle Analytics Servers is available. FlexCube, banking application FlexCube. It's got to be on containers also. eBusiness Suite, we have white papers also on that, right? On white papers, on FlexCube running on private cloud appliance and Exadata. eBusiness Suite running on private cloud appliance and Exadata. And I'm back to this tight relationship between the data and the application. It's very important. 5G application, going this way too, right? Health insurance application, and all kind of industry application, by the way, in virtualized environment or into containers. So that's the thing. We have all in one on Oracle Engine System as into Oracle Cloud, right? You can run the legacy, the current, and the next-gen applications. Basically, I took the example of Exalogic running WebLogic, right? And if you know about some previous platform we used to provide, right? We got Exadata, we got Exalogic for middleware, we got BDA, Big Data Appliance for big data stuff, we got Exalytics for analytics, we got private cloud appliance already, right? 7 years ago, 5 years ago. Now, Exadata X8M and PCA X8 are the new Exadata, are the new Exalogic, are the new BDA, are the new Exalytics, and are the new PCA. We are running everything about data and all kind of data, converged data, and legacy application, current application, and next-gen application on private cloud appliance or at customer.
Revera is New Zealand's lead cloud services provider. We run private cloud as well as managed public cloud services for commercial and government clients where clients are running Oracle workloads. The Oracle Private Cloud Appliance combined with the ZFS and the Oracle Exadata have provided a solution which we're able to get on the floor quickly, cheaply, and provide services to our customers that aren't available anywhere else in a way that gives them significant benefits. One of our clients has seen performance improvements on moving to the private cloud appliance. We've had deployments move from about 4 hours down to 20 minutes. So they're seeing drastically improved DevOps and code deployments across that environment. One of our clients picked up existing data warehouse, moved it onto the Exadata with no code changes, and they went from a batch process taking 24 minutes down to 15 seconds. The primary benefit we've seen from attaching ZFS storage to the private cloud appliance is that the integrated networking provides low latency and high performance storage in a way that we weren't able to achieve using other storage fabrics and other storage platforms. By including the Exadata and the private cloud appliance in our catalogue, we've provided those advanced engineered systems to our clients in a way that wasn't possible before. The biggest surprise was how simple it was actually to deploy. The industry advertises many things as turnkey, but these actually were. We were able to put them in the data centre, deploy the networking and turn them on, and the services were available to clients within days rather than weeks or months.
Right, here we got an example on a customer, right? Running the application, wanting to go for DevOps to develop the next-gen application, combining the best of data and combining the best of what is currently running as application and the next-gen application to come. So I spent some time on the middleware and application part, and I never forgot to mention data, because we have this relationship between data and application, right? So what about the data now, right? So the next generation data-driven application, what I just mentioned before, right? We need a tight relationship and very, very big flexibility on how to reach data and all kind of data to be sure that we can address big data projects, be sure that we can address the next-gen application with machine learning, right? And to adapt the application way to talk and to data when we're talking about microservices, to secure that, right? And supply chain is a big example, or I'm living in Luxembourg and finance is very important in Luxembourg. So blockchain is also something that we need to consider. The flexibility of data, not only SQL-based, but SQL, NoSQL, JSON APIs, being very agile with multi-tenancy, extensible with data lakes, right? So Oracle is the only company that is leading in both application and database, right? So next generation adaptable application deployment definitely is trying to reach different kind of data using the feature or a converged database. So we're talking about container database now, right? We have this pluggable database, but into this pluggable database, you can run any kind of data type, okay? So you can reach them from JSON APIs, or you can reach them on SQL or files maybe only, right? So I'm talking here about performance a little bit, and I didn't mention performance, but the customer did before, right? The first video, 40% increase of performance. Basically, if you would like to get your legacy, your current and on your next gen application running and developed on private cloud appliance and Exadata, you need performance. You need performance, the best one, and definitely the Exadata X8M, the latest one, right? The latest generation of Exadata you can have on premise is bringing as many performance needed to run every kind of application, current or next gen, in the most performance way, right? And if we will drill down on Exadata and the multi-tenancy and the hybrid way and the converged features of data, any kind of data I said before, right? So you have the coexistence of traditional, so kind of legacy, and the next-gen application. So on the left, you have basically a private cloud appliance running virtual machines with Java Enterprise Cluster into it, and these virtual machines are reaching basically an Exadata database, PDB, so pluggable database for each application, right? At the same time, into the PC, into private cloud appliance, you are running also a Kubernetes cluster with different applications running into containers, and now the connection between these containers and database running on Exadata. Basically, we're using REST APIs for JSON or JDBC, Java-based, and at the end, on Exadata, you are running a database container providing all kind of type of data to all kind of different applications, right? It's fully managed by Enterprise Manager, so we have a unified management and operation layer. It's completely integrated, right? And you have this converged model data access on Exadata for the data providing the best application to come. So the way into the Oracle Cloud is open is definitely that we are providing this combination of the best of platform for applications, best of platform for data on premises with private cloud appliance and Exadata, or you can choose to get kind of cloud customer, so a piece of our cloud into your data center, but managed by Oracle with private cloud at customer. And basically, technically, that's exactly the same thing that on-premise, right? And for a persistent layer for data, that's ExaCC, Exadata Cloud at Customer. right? And we have exactly the same technology, open technology, running into OCI, our Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Basically, when we are talking about cloud-native environment for your next-gen application running on PCA, private cloud appliance, or private cloud customer, basically our function offering about containers, so Oracle Container Engine for Kubernetes, OKE, is exactly the same technology that we're using on-premise into our public cloud, exactly the same one. And basically, the data persistency and the best performance and the best converged feature we can provide with Exadata and ExaCC for the application layer, we have that into our cloud, and that's named Cloud Services. So just an example here, right, about one of the latest white paper, how to deploy application containers for your next-gen application on Oracle Private Cloud Appliance or Private Cloud Customer. You have a white paper helping you to understand how you can deploy application containers using Kubernetes and Docker on Oracle Linux using the CNE, so the cloud-native environment from Oracle Linux on PC and PCC, and how to run Docker images from Oracle Container Registry in these new environments. Just would like to make a point about what I introduced on private cloud appliance and the tight relationship between the application part and the database. So I'm never splitting Exadata and PCA because they have to be brought together. Next week, you will have another webcast driven by Krishna Sridivazan, who is Product Management Director for Private Cloud Appliance. So we'll talk about how to modernize, accelerate, and rapidly scale your application on Oracle Private Cloud Appliance. He will give you some hints on what's going to happen and how to get the best of Exadata and PCA, bringing some new network functionality and bringing 100 gig Ethernet direct attachment between Private Cloud Appliance and Exadata. So I believe that the next slide is about a link where you can click in order to register yourself for this webcast. I will support Krishna, and you will get some great news from him about what's going to happen within the next weeks and months. So I will stay on this page. If you would like to register yourself, you can click on that. Otherwise, anyway, I believe that you will receive some emails. So I hope it was clear that data is a new oil, right? It means that we have a way to provide the best data to the best application, the current application, the next-gen application, and its relationship is going both ways, right? The application needs the best from data, and the data needs the best from application. And the strategy about multi-cloud, right, being sure that you can scale out from on-premise to an Oracle cloud or an Amazon cloud. I'm saying that very lowly, but if you would like to go there, why not? And by the way, this multi-cloud strategy, we got a great example from Zoom, right? Zoom boomed during the last weeks, and basically they went multi-cloud, coming from Amazon to Oracle cloud, basically in less than a day, because they were completely multi-cloud ready, right? So do you have a multi-cloud strategy for the coming 12 months, right? That's my question to you. I'm not sure how long I should wait, but probably kind of 10 seconds maybe. Yeah, let's move. Okay. Oh, not yet. Okay, that's good. Good to know. That's a way to tell you that this shift is not going to happen in 1 month or a week, right? But you can be prepared and you can think about it. And we have platforms helping you to support this kind of strategy when you will be ready to do so. Another question from me, right, would be surely you're considering containers, right? And surely you would like to think about re-architecting your application. So, but what is your time frame for that? And do you think that you have some need for production ready on this new next-gen application within the next 2 to 6 months or 6 to 12 months, or not sure yet about the time frame. Basically, I talked about this, right? You can run the legacy, you can run the current environment, and you can prepare, as this customer example, your development of new application on the same platform, getting all the benefits of all the features we are providing. Yep, let's go for it. Okay, not sure about the time frame. That's your answer. Thank you so much for participating to the polling. I will open now a kind of a slot for Q&A about this this webcast, and I can see some questions. So I will pick some. So will this slide be available? Yes, right. They will be available, and they will be shared to the audience, definitely. So is another question, that's an interesting one, is Kubernetes including to the deployment script on private cloud appliance? So Oracle Linux Cloud Native environment is providing all the runtime to deploy Kubernetes clusters automatically. And it's kind of, I would like to emphasize, please attend next week's webcast from Krishna, because he will announce that, right, from a single point of management, enterprise managed cloud control that is provided, by the way, right, with private cloud appliance, you will be able to deploy automatically Kubernetes clusters. So yes, it is included. Another question is there any tools to help migrating existing apps running WebLogic on top of existing Exalogic that run using Solaris? So yes, so we have a white paper on how to discover Exalogic domains, WebLogic domain into Exalogic, and how to migrate that as is, okay? Or providing you also a path to modernize directly or to run both current as is from Exalogic to private cloud appliance, and building a DevOps place into PCA, private cloud appliance, to start to develop a new application on containerized WebLogic. It is very difficult to get a clear stream from, oh, sorry, that's a non-24. Okay, okay. I think that's okay for today. A last question, that's kind of an interesting one. So what kind of disaster recovery capabilities does PCA offer, right? So we have a single point of management, I said before, right? So Enterprise Managed Cloud Control is completely managing the full application stack and the data stack, right? So from Enterprise Manager, you can manage both PCA and Exadata as a pod, okay? So for Exadata, it's kind of obvious, right? We are using DataGuard for disaster recovery. For private cloud appliance, depending on what kind of technology you're using, so virtualization or containers, disaster recovery will be based on SiteGuard. That's something that's a feature from Enterprise Manager that enables you to do disaster recovery between two locations, between two PCAs, with some disaster recovery plans, basically, such as obviously waiting for the database and data to be replicated one side to another, and then bringing back the virtualization with the virtual machines running on site 1 to site 2. But it's fully provided by the PCA ecosystem. And the last one, maybe last question, we have an Oracle database rack set up on our private cloud, planning to move to cloud. What will licensing cost between OCI and Azure? Okay, that's a use case. Definitely everything about Oracle database is exactly the same way to run from an on-premise perspective or into a public cloud perspective, right? About licensing, Oracle is giving you the choice between going on with bring your own license, basically, or to go for another kind of service, and I mentioned it quickly, such as Exacloud service. So with Exacloud service, you will probably go for universal credit, but I would recommend you to go for your sales rep or your solution engineer in order to get a clear view on what kind of impact it would have on pricing, and you will be able to make your choice on going for universal credits or keeping your existing on-premise licenses. Thanks a lot for attending this webcast. It's been a pleasure to be with you for this hour, and I wish you the best. Keep yourself and your family safe, and don't forget next week, Krishna webcast about private cloud appliance and the next new features. Thanks a lot for your attention. Cheers.